Hey everyone, welcome to Small Group. Great to be with you again. You may notice I'm wearing the same shirt as last week. That's because as a church, we're very efficient. We like to sometimes bundle these. You'll also notice that I have someone new here. Jeremy, also one of our pastors, joining us for this recap of the sermon. Thanks for being here, man.
It's really good to be here, and I'm in a small group, and I've been watching these videos.
Have you?
And they're awesome. So it's a real honor to be here with all of you. And
we're on a real streak of great videos.
So it's intimidating too.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
It better be funny.
Yeah.
Because I've been laughing throughout.
So much pressure.
It is a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
So we're in this series called All Things New. We're looking at the big story of Scripture, creation, rebellion, rescue, renewal. We're looking at themes like grief or beauty or justice last week. And this week we're talking about hope. And you delivered a great message. And you know, one of the things we do here is we recap some of the main points of the sermon. Maybe some people missed it or they need a refresher or reminder. And so if you preached it, so why don't you tell us about the main points?
In theory, I should be able to summarize it.
Yeah, give us some main points from the sermon and maybe a new nugget or something.
Ooh, like something I didn't share but was like secretly in my heart. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we talked about hope, and we talked about the fact that hope is embedded in creation. It's something that started in the very beginning. And then for me, what really gripped me as I was preparing and thinking about it is this idea that we mainly as Christians can find our hope in the person of Jesus, and this idea that Jesus has come out of the future into history 2,000 years ago and is this picture for us of what's coming, of what God has promised, what we all long for, and that he actually gives us his life, his death, his resurrection, his person, his words, what he did. It actually gives us a picture of where God's taking the world. And that should, if we know about Jesus' life, fill us with a lot of hope.
Right.
So that was the main idea, I think.
You also quoted the notebook in the sermon, which I thought was an interesting choice. Why don't you tell us about that?
It was a tough call, you know, because not everything about the notebook is stuff that we'd like want to promote as healthy, you know, living. But it was just such a powerful moment, you know, particularly when she, you know, looks at these letters and realizes, oh my goodness, like, you know, I'm more loved than I ever thought. And I just like, you know, there's a scripture, actually, I didn't mention the sermon, from Hebrews, where it says that God's spoken to us at many times and in many ways, talking about the prophets and like, you know, the ways in which God's spoken. This is, but he's most ultimately spoken through his son. And I thought, oh, that's cool. He's like the best letter, like the ultimate letter of God's heart for us. So
it's so great.
Isn't that cool?
How did you?
There's the bone. That's the nugget.
That is the nugget.
That's the nugget we're waiting for.
And people are going to really receive it.
Yeah,
how did you end? Like, what was the ending moment? Like remind me of that. You prayed.
I prayed for us.
Then before that,
even before the prayer, there's kind of how I ended was like, hey, we don't just see hope as we look back at the person of Jesus, but we can see that Jesus' life is showing up all over the earth. In other words, people are living in light of the resurrection of Jesus, and that should give us hope too. Like, it's not just like, well, a great guy who gave us a picture of who God is, lived a long time ago and was proof. It's like, no, we see that he isn't dead, he's alive. And by his spirit, people look like him and are proof that he is still alive and that he's coming again. And so that was cool. And that actually makes me think about, like, you know, we're talking in small groups right now about how we want to serve our city, how we never just want to get insular and think about, you know, just reflect and how we grow. We want to go, no, part of what we want to do as communities is serve. And part of that is we want to respond to the fact that our lives aren't about ourselves. They're about pointing people to Jesus and being like Jesus to our world. And so I think that's part of the tangible response to that thought of we get to be pictures of hope ourselves.
Yeah. I love, like, I think about our culture and our moment, and there's just widespread worry. And often it's rooted in real reasons. But worry often is looking into the future and anticipating bad things. And I love how hope moves us in the opposite spirit, that hope is looking into the future, anticipating good things. And our hope is not irrational. It's not sticking our heads in the sand. It's not naive optimism. Our hope is rooted in the person of Jesus, that hope became flesh, as you said, which is so amazing. And so what we're going to do now is just throw to your discussion leaders. They have questions. We're going to discuss this theme of hope and how it relates to the whole story of Scripture and our own lives. And so let's do that right now. See ya.